Hi, Valentino Zubiri here. I'm going to show my books later, but right now I want to show you what happened to me in 1995-96. I got myself here on the cover of a newspaper, and I believe this was a weekly, and this was a monthly, and this was a write-up for a nonprofit that I worked with, brochure. Now here's another, I believe this is a weekly. So what I want to show you here is once you come up with the project, you can get some publicity. Now the thing is, this was in 1996, and nowadays we have the internet. So there's less newspapers now, but they're still looking for articles and people to feature. Now I got myself into this monthly, kind of like a magazine and a social, and it's a community paper, it's free. And I got myself as the assistant editor, and so I was only second to the publisher editor. So there's no way I can displace her. I also became a columnist, so I had myself mentioned here as well. And then I also was one of the designers and thus the publishers and programmers of the paper. So I got myself mentioned 3 times, right? Now, here's what I can tell you, okay? And every once in a while I'll show up like the publisher featured me. Now look at this, that's Rod Blagojevich, and if you haven't heard, he just got out of jail because President Trump just pardoned him. Now before jail he was governor of Illinois, and before governor of Illinois he was congressman. So this was in 1996 when he was running for Congress. And if there's anything I learned from him and a few other politicians, there would be a few, just a handful of politicians who would go out of their way to attend social events. Now, most other politicians would prefer to be on TV, print, and radio. Now, imagine this. If you are one of those organizers of events, or if you're a guest of the event, and these more prestigious people show up and bother to show up, and even though you know that they could have gone somewhere else, who do you think you'd vote for? Now, this was when I got on TV because of my artistic statement, which was this, for HIV/AIDS awareness. I actually got on 2 TV shows and I missed the 3rd. I also got on 1 radio show and I missed the 2nd one. Now here's something I want to show you too. So this was my regular. And this, we did something crazy, me and my publisher. The reason I did this and I allowed for this to show up, I did this myself, I posted this. I pasted it on. The reason I did that was if people were looking up to me so much, I downgraded myself. So I put myself down on purpose because I didn't want all this to get into my head. It's a way for me to keep both my feet on the ground and to keep my sanity and remind myself that this is just something that I should consider my normal. Now here's the thing, these people that I featured and events and everything else, sometimes I feature just one, sometimes I would feature a lot, right? But I make sure that they're given the importance that they're supposed to have. So I do my best to be as generous and as fair as possible. This is something when you come up with your books, you do things as fair as you can. Make sure that you give people their importance, and that's basically what I want to show you. When it comes to contact information, obviously people would need to contact these people, right? Or events and stuff. So make sure that the numbers are correct. Make sure that the names are correctly spelled. Now I got into theater as well. Every once in a while I participate. And here's the thing with theater. A show can run for a month, right? The posters are forever, see? So in a way I got my permanence when it comes to my contribution in theater by coming up with the posters, and like this is my painting. This one is a fold-out poster, and this one is the poster that can fit the windows of stores and cafes and bulletin boards without hogging the entire space. And then we came up with the post. The important thing about postcards and all this and all the visuals for theater, you have to come up with your souvenir program. This should be available on the first performance, right? And then the posters and everything else should be available like at least a month in advance, so you can post it in your communities. And then every once in a while you come up with projects that you know you can improve some more, right? So these are considerations. The only way you can come up with your set of standards is if you get it yourself into all these things. Now this, I guess, was just so nicely designed that people were stealing them, and we had to keep returning to the places we posted at every 3 days just so we can repost the posters and promote the play, right? And now this is web printing. We use the printer that prints newspapers. See, it's good quality work. See, and I made sure that everyone got mentioned correctly. It was my idea to make sure that everyone had a picture with their bios, right? Because this was a volunteer organization. So when some people wouldn't or couldn't produce their bios and their pictures, I actually had to show up in the meetings and rehearsals just so I can make sure that everyone got featured with a picture and a bio. Before I go, compare all this with a single book that you could come up with, your memoir or your biography, your art books in your catalogs. Now, books are permanent. Even though my posters are more permanent than the shows themselves, they don't compare with the book, see? And the books, they compound. All these books that I produced for the different people and for myself, they add up, see? So they're no longer incremental. So they don't compound or pile on top of each other. The new one always simply displaces the previous one. Books compound. The previous books are still just as readable as the new one. So thanks for listening, and I appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.